Today I'm going to be talking about um, when things are not going in the direction where it seems aligned. We have to look at, or I don't feel carried, or I don't feel upright. I have to look at how do I posture myself? What carries me? And am I linked with the all, with the all mind, like the will that governs all separate beings together? Like you would think of it as one big head with many neurons. If I function as a neuron, where am I not able to make, my adjustments? So before I go into the personal practices, I'm going to speak about the inspiration for this. And I'm going to say right away that my eye was not hit. I hit my head, and when I went to the hospital, they told me that I got my head hit. So they told me that the swelling is going to go into the orbital socket, and it makes sense. I have a black eye, but it's all coming from right here, from inside my head. So my eye looks like I have a black eye, but I did not get anything to my eye. My eye is fine, and it just looks this way. However, it was very scary, and going to the hospital, and the person who was around was out of control, and my head did get hit, so every part of it is like not pleasant. And that's why I'm doing this work, to figure out, as I'm doing my healing, why is this coming out of me, instead of looking at it as like, I'm being punished. So how do I start, with all these practices? And it's saying, well, I'm going to use the Jewish sources, 3 of them for this. First one is called Pardes Rimone, which is translated as the garden of the pomegranate. The pomegranate has many, many, many seeds, and you could think of the brain with many, many, many neurons. So this is how it kind of works. They're saying the universe, or the one word kind of, or the one speech, or the one vibration. Really, the vibration, there's 4 layers. The first is one that emanates. We call this in Hebrew Atzilut, and we would say this is the emanation of the source, of the light, of the original being. So this is God's influence, which also has attributes. There's 10 attributes in this that are we're able to see the glory in. They are naturally good, and there isn't good or bad inside them. As I said, it's universe. It's one vibration, and when this vibration emanates, it's a vibration emanating from the most glorious, or the most powerful, and it is influencing everything through these 10 channels. It's like a shower head with 10 separate apertures, holes. Then it goes into the throne, like the seat of the conscious being that I just mentioned, is the creation. So it is something that holds this emanation. It holds it, and it's a force. It has a pushback, or a pull, or a gravitational energy. So it's the creation. We call this general universe Bria. And then the level of our thoughts, our feelings, our interpretation, these create what we might call the angelic attachments. They could be for healing energy, guiding energy, or it could be like for destabilizing, or even demonic energy. Demonic means like there's not enough, I need more, and it's short term. It causes harm because it makes it feel better, and so on. This is one side of it. The other side is we use affirmations, and we fully are part of the affirmation. We are formed. It's information. It becomes something that is, it's becoming, whether it's becoming whole or becoming broken. We call this world Yetzirah, which means formation. And finally, the 4th aspect or universe of this vibration, the generality of this vibration, is completion. It's Asiya. What this is the physical world that I have, which I am the center of my physical world, and with its spiritual aspect, which means with the unseen part of what I see, what I feel, what I can't feel, but I know is there. So the sense of being that which is here, being embodied perhaps, is being complete. And now I'm going to use the second source, which is Shar HaKevonos. This is the gate, or the doorway of intentions, of aligning thoughts, devotional attention, devotional forward motion toward or away from, but it's with intention. It's the gateway of intention. So there's a daily service, which is part of the Jewish tradition that goes back historically a very long time. However, these address these four parts. So the first part I mentioned will go last, and the last part I mentioned will go first. We'll go from like the ground up. So the ground up means first we see in our physical world what has been completed, and we have to have sacrifices. So there's readings or learnings that address this sacrifice aspect. What do we have to let go of in the physical world, or what are we willing to fight our own resistance or laziness or fear in order to move through? It's a sacrifice. The next is praising. It's using our words. There's biblical praises, but it's using our words to connect with what is being formed and form better interpretations, better meaning. And this is where the angels come in. So we move through. Then there's what's holding us. And that is, what's the throne? What's the force? And it's the oneness. So we say, Shema, I'm going to listen with all of me. It's going to be something I repeat. This is the foundation prayer. Foundation, literally, like it's the foundation. Like I said, it's the throne and the forces. And it helps us to achieve that sense of I'm one and I surrender to the oneness, even though we're all separate. And we say it each to surrender with a direct connection to the oneness. And finally, there's something called Amidah, which is also called standing, but it refers to the 18 blessings, or Shmona Esrei, which means 18. 18 is also the number of life. And this is where we say Hashem's influence, right? God's influence. Hashem in Hebrew means the name. So it's saying God or creator, source, which is beyond all names. This is where the influence comes. This is the universe of godly essence. It transmits such influence onto the world according to the various aspects that were said, the 10 sefirot. And finally now, into this physical world, connecting with these attributes, they also connect with the planets. I'm not going to right now today connect all the planets with the attributes. I hope to do a different video on that. But for now, I'm going to move away from this construct I've shared. It's about making connections. All of this is inspired from everything I'm sharing here is inspired from the book called Crown of Wisdom by Mordechai Menachem Reich. Every chapter is a little different, and these are, and they're on different themes, and they're collected from sources. So this is from Me'am Loez, and I'll just run through it. The Saturn aspect is murder, poverty, destruction of cities or kingdoms, and sickness and death. Jupiter aspect is life, peace, wealth, status, and dominance. Mars aspect is war, strife, controversy between people, fire, water, destruction of homes, fire, water, destruction of homes, famine, heat waves, and storms. The sun is wisdom and science, understanding, penmanship, craftsmanship, and flowers and trees and plants all growing from the ground. Venus influence is grace, kindness, desire, love, fruitfulness of humans, plants, and animals. And Mercury is light that separates night and day, so like that veil, the twilight, the dusk, and the dawn and the sunrise. And then we have beneficial influence from Mercury on people traveling for business. Finally, the moon is the keys of heaven and earth. So I'm going to now go into my personal practice. One is, how do I posture? And it's a worthwhile self-inquiry, and I will share what I came up with. I posture myself like I'm not depressed and anxious ever. I posture myself like I'm standing on my own 2 feet, like I can, but actually it's my greatest struggle. I posture myself like I'm always the giver, but actually I take advantage and keep my commitments and can be very selfish or have agenda. I posture myself like I'm so clear and conscious, but I'm also delusional and impatient. So this was very humbling, and it showed me where I may not be allowing in what I need because I won't even acknowledge the areas where there's blockages or pain and suffering or a lack of skills. And then, am I linked with higher mind, the all head, as a neuron? It seems, and this is what came up, it seems possible that people make connections without realizing the mind reading part. That intimacy scares me, yet it seems deeply, powerfully bonding. And I wonder, if some use it to control others, so it's a trust issue I have with the other neurons. Another thing that came up was usually I'm not in no questions asked kind of certainty. I often crave the guidance or helpful information for seeing more clearly. So I'm often these are a direct contradiction. I may not trust the other neurons, but I desperately want to know what they know. So I don't have these questions that I have. it's very difficult for me to balance an approach for lightheartedness and the tough cookie side, because I often feel insecure in my own adaptability. I try to stay more, that I try to stay more in, but that becomes unnatural. Like I try to stay more in being a tough cookie because I know what that is, or I try to be more in lightheartedness because I know what that is. But it's hard to adapt to different moments. And sometimes I forget to co-regulate with the people around me. It's time to be a tough cookie, time to be lighthearted. And finally, a lot of thoughts make me uneasy or defensive and seem to be reflecting my indirect or direct or silent or verbal interactions that have unconscious elements. So when I refuse to look at this, what makes me uneasy, I'm not really connecting with my own unconscious aspect. Not even aspect, my whole unconscious realm. And finally, what carries me? So cultivating, and this is not with judgment. This is like all the things I'm saying here. I don't know if I want them to be true, but I've got to be able to face it. So in order to be who I am supposed to be and not be in situations where I'm up against a wall or, and God is the energy for me today that melts the mountain that is blocking me, this is what's being melted. So what carries me, for example, to be able to believe that, or to be able to face this, this whole path, the passage, that there's refuge and that I am somehow a refuge for myself and for others even. So cultivating peace in me, positive and warm feelings, that carries me. That could be anything from meditation to yoga. It doesn't matter. It could be, whatever it is. Not wanting to be alone, good company that considers me. Building trust and understanding, and this is also a dark side because I'll do that with people who are not capable, or I'll do it with objects that are not able to be ever understanding of me or fully trustworthy in the physical world. Imagining a family that I'll co-create. Sometimes this keeps me away from really appreciating the ones in my life, but it also helps me to move forward. Sending out my beacon. So I own my confusion and my heartbreak, and I just radiate it fully, the same way I would radiate joy, passion. Redeeming myself from any deliberate sins, which includes harmfulness, not keeping my word, anger, being without care. Redeeming my own self. In other words, I do what I have to do to get my integrity, to respect myself again. That carries me. I'm hoping that it'll all turn out perfect and good in the outward way. Just clinging to that it's perfected. Like I said, in the general universe, that in the general universe is that the emanation will be completed and the emanation is good. And finally, believing in a true judge who punishes with an innate rectification aspect. Like one of the influences is rectifying, is correction. Same way I might feel like I'm out of alignment when I'm not doing what I'm supposed to. That will happen to everybody who it needs to. So I don't have to worry about punishing people. They already will have the reflection of the world and their shadow, whatever they're hiding, come up for them. So it's not my job really to make sure others learn their lesson and so on. So I hope this was helpful. If you, are able to get inspired to face the toughest stuff that we usually push away. And thank you for spending time with me.